I wanted to take a couple of minutes to go over the teaching demos that you are doing. The first one's due next week on Reza, and we're actually going to be doing several more of those this term. But I wanted to go over the instructions for it since the first one is due next week on Wednesday. And so I first want to go over the rubric, which I know I actually went over a little bit in the last video, but just as we get started, this is how you're going to be scored. So exceeds, meets, approaching, and insufficient. You definitely want to hit this meets expectation. That's how you'll get a passing grade. And I encourage you to do what you can to exceed the expectations. But this would be kind of that minimum standard where you get a C or a B. To get like a passing grade, okay, or a good score. And then the points are marked here: 3, 2.5, 2, 1.5. So that's here's 3, 2.5, 2, and 1.5, and it's going to go down. Introduction, you're going to introduce the topic. For this first one, you're doing Reza, so you'll want to find out as much information about that as you can. This content, you've got the essential knowledge. You have clearly looked up the information that you need. You've got hyperlinks, you've got sources, you can cite your sources. At the end of your presentation, which is like 10 or 15 minutes, any of us who are watching it will go, oh, I know what this means for me, because as a teacher going in and who's going to have to do Reza, I'm going to know what I need to do. So it needs to be clear and thorough. Your text elements is really about your slides, because we're all preparing for a digital format for fall and moving forward, and what things are going to be like. We want to be able to be flexible. We can't always just lecture in person. So you're going to need to make sure that your fonts are easy to read, that it's not too busy, that you've got a background that doesn't take away from your text, and that it really enhances it. And then the layout, you've got horizontal and vertical white space used appropriately, so you don't have a giant white slide with some really small text somewhere, but just so that it's visually it provides good information visually for us. You've got your citations. You're going to use that APA citation. You can use the Purdue et al. Website. You can use Citation Generator. There are tons of different places, but essentially it's the author name and the year is the really easy format. And then at the bottom or on the last slide, you just need to have resources like in hyperlink if you got it from the website. Your graphics. If you've got any graphics or animation or anything, it just needs to be relevant to what you're doing, and to make sure that you get that it's clean and clear, and that we can all see it. And then your text needs to be original. Please don't copy and paste anything from the ODE website or anything else. Original text, write it clearly. You can summarize, you can rephrase it, you can put it in your own language. And that you've done a spell check of your slides and things like that. And then your screencast technology, you transition and you've got good sound and things like that. Narration, practice, write out your script and practice it beforehand, and use correct grammar. Make sure that your volume is good, things like that. And then you've got your totals. So I want to show you just briefly, this is one that a student did at another time in another session of this class. This is on Master Teacher, and I'm showing you the whole slide. So what this student did, they were going over the Master Teacher requirements. They had a Kahoot set up so that that during their discussion, their presentation, their screencast, as I'm reading this, I could participate along. You could participate along, even if it's not synchronous. So they had set up a Kahoot. Doesn't mean you have to, just an idea. They've got their text here. You can see the script here. Okay, so they've got their script down here, and that's fine. You definitely want to have that. You want to have a script, and they're going to go, and the students going over what it is. You can see that that it's a clean slide. There's information. The content that they need to have is in here. This is a transition slide, so they're saying what is the criteria. Here they've got their whole script down here, and then they're going to be going over those. As far as I know, the student probably had it printed out somewhere else to read, and then really focusing on these things. Now, this is just an example. It doesn't mean that it's the best. It just means it's an example so that you can see it. If I were encouraging the student to do it again, this text would be much larger, and I would probably suggest having an image that made sense, and I would probably want to have a link to where they got this information at the bottom. They're breaking it down into steps. So how do you get to become a master teacher? Here are these steps that they go through. Again, you can see that they've got the script down below, and it goes through tier 1, tier 2. So this is kind of what you're looking at, what you're looking for. This student interviewed teachers to talk about the master teacher, so they kind of informally sent emails to several teachers who had this with these questions. And so they didn't necessarily go over all of this, but then what they did do is talk about what they learned from that, because this is a graduate level project. They're saying, here's what I've done, and the information. So then they're going through what it looks like at their school, things like that, where they got this. This is a hyperlink. What I would suggest is, if you don't know how to do the hyperlinks, what you can do, like you could actually write in application checklist, and I'll actually just demonstrate this for you here and now so that you have it. And then what you do is, I selected and copied that. So then what you would do is take this application checklist, and then you go up here to the top and you look for this little paper clip, that's the link, and then it lets you do this. And I'm going to paste that link there. Now, see how it changed color and became underlined? Now, if you were to click that, it's hyperlinked there. So that's the kind of hyperlink that I would recommend that you do for your slides, not this kind of a full address list here. But you can see this student went through, really has all the information. Again, I would say, change the hyperlinks. The text, this needs to be broken into more than one page, so that the text will all fit and that it's not so tiny. Discussion, scoring. So they kind of go through, and then this opportunity. It looks like we scored the Kahoot at the end. And then resources. Okay, so this is kind of what you're looking for in terms of what it is that you need to do. This first one you're going to do on Reza. You don't have to do it exactly the same way. This is just an example of how one student did it. Okay, so there are lots of tech options for how to do integration and for engagement, things like that. I am more than happy to set up a Zoom or a Blackboard Collaborate meeting with you to go over ideas and options, but this is kind of one way that you can do this. When you look on our pilot page, let's actually go there. I want to encourage you to, if you have never done screencasting before, and if you have never uploaded to YouTube before, you are going to want to go to our content page and go to the How Do I. I have a whole list of how do I do certain things that are these are the things that are most commonly asked. How do I do this? You've got a quick tutorial on how to screencast and how to upload to YouTube. So this is a tutorial that I want you to watch. It's about 3.5 minutes, okay? So this is a video that I did for our evidence-based practice in a different class, but the instructions are exactly the same. I'm going to take you through what I recommend, a screencast-o-matic, but you can do whatever you want. Actually, if you've got a Mac, you can do it QuickTime, which is what I do, but for people on a PC, I would recommend this screencast-o-matic screen recorder. But as you can see, this video is going to take you all the way through exactly how to do your screencast and how to upload it to YouTube, okay? And then to make it so that we can see it, and then how to send it out, okay? How to send it out to us and how to post it, all right? So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you want a synchronous session, please let me know. I'm happy to put one together for us, and we can record that for people who can't be there, okay? So that's coming up in week in week 3, coming up next. Okay, so let me know if you have questions. Good luck.